Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you for dedicating us to the Lord as we start our conference. I am Lifnet Moyo, the conference chairperson. I would want to welcome you all. Siyalamukela, tinokugamchirai, all protocol observed. We have invited guests that I will not mention, but will be mentioned as we go along. We have got speakers amongst us. We have got delegates. Ladies and gentlemen, feel welcome. Salamukela Victoria Falls, Emasothunya, tinokugamchirai ku Victoria Falls, Makadi, Linjani, Mapona Wieni. Abantu be Victoria Falls bazalichaya lingeyela ukukhuluma isihloko sabo. Thank you. All protocol observed. This is our annual conference for the Chartered Governance Institute, one of the flagships activities of the Institute. We have some other activities that take place during the year, and this is one of the most important. We are celebrating with you, professionals, accountants, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to year end. We want to discuss topical issues that lead or feed into governance, accountants, and sustainable running of the institutions where we work, those institutions contributing to the success of Zimbabwe, and as we drive towards the achievement of Vision 2030. You are all welcome. Feel at home. Enjoy proceedings. Learn, share, network. Come out of this conference as better people, strengthened professionally, strengthened emotionally. Yesterday we had our activities where we were unwinding before we started the conference. Thank you. At this stage, I'll call upon our CEO, Dr. Lovemore Komera. Maybe for those of you who are not maybe attending for the first time, Dr. Komera is the current Chief Executive and Secretary of CGI Zimbabwe. He is the Ambassador for Africa at the International Insurance Society and sits on a number of corporate boards, including Old Mutual, ZRP, Staff College Board, and he is an expert in corporate strategy, accounting, economics, governance, risk, and compliance. As we navigate, I would want to bring your attention to the theme for this year. Our theme is a governance and accountants transformative agenda towards a shared future vision. I will now call upon CEO to take over from here as we move forward. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Our Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, allow me to first indulge you to join us in observing a minute of silence We lost one of our past presidents who was very supportive of our initiatives in Zimbabwe, and he passed on 2 weeks ago. Mr. Rick Summers, we may be abstaining as we play the video of Mr. Rick Summers. Media, please. Thank you, so. Thank you, members. Honorable Vice, Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. Constantine G.D. Chiwenga, Honorable Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Mr. Ziyambi, they represented, Honorable Minister of State, Matabeleland North Province, Honorable Richard Moyo, Permanent Secretary here present, Commissioner General Zimra, other government officials that are here with us, the Director General of the CGI Global, all the way from Australia, Mr. Tim Shee, immediate past President of the CGI Global, Mrs. Jill Parrott, our policy advisor, CGI Global, Ambassador Gertrude Takawira, a member of the Institute, Vice Presidents in Small Ps, Ms. Lifnet Moyo, Tendai Kanjanda, distinguished past President of the Institute, esteemed councillors, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. My task is really to introduce the team and leadership that we have at the Institute and leave the rest to those that have been given the mandate and the powers to receive our Honorable Vice President of the country. If I may ask all those that have acknowledged and have got something to do with CGI Global and CGI Zimbabwe to be abstaining, whether you're a councillor, whether you're a committee member, please can we be abstaining so that the Honorable Vice President can see you and we can also receive you as the gathering of members here today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the leadership of the Institute, both global and local. Honorable President, Vice President, we present to you the leadership of CGI, Zimbabwe and global. You may be seated. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, without wasting much time, I would like to invite one of our honorable ministers that have been working tirelessly within the Matabeleland region. She is responsible for Mat province. He is the Honorable Minister of State in the Matabeleland North province, where the majestic Victoria Falls is housed, and he's been receiving a lot of delegates and conferences, and I can tell you that he's really a strong man. May I invite Honorable Richard Moyo, please, to do the needful as you introduce our guest of honor.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Our Honorable Vice President of Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. C.G.T.N. Chiwenga, our Honorable Minister of Justice and Legal Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziambi in absentia, the Permanent Secretary for Matabele North Province, Mrs. S. Ngube, Permanent Secretary, Corporate Governance Unity in the Office of the President and Cabinet, Mr. Allen Choruma, Commissioner General of Zimbabwe Revenue Authority, Ms. Regina Chinamasa, other government officials here present, Director General of CGI Global, Mr. Tim Shea, immediate past President of CGI Global, Mrs. Gelparent, policy advisors of CGI Global, Ambassador Gertrude Takawira, Vice President of CGI Zimbabwe, Ms. Linden Moyo, and Ms. Tendai Kajanda, Chief Executive Officer and Secretary for CGI Zimbabwe, Dr. Lovemore Gomera, distinguished past presidents of CGI Zimbabwe, esteemed councillors, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pleasure and honor to welcome you all to this occasion, the 2024 Annual Conference of the Chartered Governance and Accountancy Institution in Zimbabwe. Allow me to extend our sincere gratitude to our Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. C.G.T.N. Chiwenga, for making the time to grace this important occasion. Distinguished guests, it is a privilege to be your host once again right here in the majestic city of Victoria Falls within our beautiful province of Matabeleland North. Your presence here today speaks volumes of the commitment you have to the promotion of good governance and accountability in our nation. It is especially encouraging to see such an assembly of professionals gathered here to deliberate on matters that have the potential to transform our country, Zimbabwe. Distinguished guests, the presence of our esteemed guests demonstrates the highest level of support from the Second Republic for the significant work being done by the institution. I am reliably informed that the conference will be a remarkable platform for engaging in productive discussion, sharing insights, and encouraging connections that will further the professional development of governance and accountancy in Zimbabwe. I have no doubt that the discussion that will take place here will have a far-reaching impact on our country's governance landscape. Meanwhile, my hope is that this city has, since your arrival, provided you with an environment that encourages fruitful interaction and strategic reflection on the important issues on our agenda. Please enjoy the hospitality in the province whilst encouraging all our visitors to take some time to enjoy the inspiring Victoria Falls and the scenic beauty that surrounds the area. Our province takes great pride in being Zimbabwe's premier tourism destination, and we are committed to offering you the warmest hospitality throughout your stay. Thank you once again for choosing Matabeleland North as your destination of choice, and may you have a successful and rewarding conference. With these remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I once again welcome you to Matabeleland North Province. I thank you to Alumba Tatenda. Then my second assignment, I would introduce to you our guest of honor. Our guest of honor is Vice President Honorable retired Dr. CGDN Chiwenga, was born on 2nd July 1956 in Wedza, where he grew up until he left school to join the liberation struggle. The Vice President joined the struggle for the liberation of Zimbabwe in 1973 at a tender age of 17. Some of us were not yet born. He rose through the ranks, and in 1978 he became a member of the Zimbabwe African National Liberation Army, ZANLA, High Command, and was appointed the Deputy Chief Political Commissar, a position he held until independence, 1980. At independence, he was the head of liaison in Masvingo, Manicaland, and Matabeleland provinces during the integration period. The Vice President was promoted to the rank of Brigadier on 16 April 1981 and appointed the first black commander of one infantry brigade up to November 1984. He rose through the general ranks, becoming Commander Zimbabwe National Army in 1994. The Vice President is distinguished strategist and scholar. Besides his acumen as a military and political strategist, the Vice President is an accomplished farmer and professional hunter. His other interests include research and discussing African military and political history, regional, international conflicts, economic, peace and security issues. He was appointed Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe on 22 December 2017. He currently exercises oversight role over economic ministries in the government of Zimbabwe and has regularly executed this assignment to this day. Honorable Vice President, sir.
The Director of Events of this event, most important conference, the Minister for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Matabele North Province, Honorable Richard Moyo, Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziambe in absentia, President of the Chartered Governance and Accountants Institute in Zimbabwe, Ms. Judith Uzuzi, Director General CGI, Global, Mr. Tim Shin, Past President, CGI Global, Madam Jill Parrott, and others who are here, Vice Presidents of Chartered Accountants of Governance and Accountants Institute in Zimbabwe, and let me at this juncture pay my deepest condolences to the past president of CGI, Mr. Summers. Chartered Governance Accountants Institute in Zimbabwe, permanent secretaries, And let me first recognize my permanent secretary in my office, Ms. Marcia Nyanda, permanent secretary for Matebere North Province, Ms. Ngube, and permanent secretary corporate governance, again in my office, Ms. Allen Choruma. Chief Executive and Secretary, Dr. Lovemore Gomera, senior government officials here present, and let me recognize Director General Zimra, Ms. Chinamasa, captains of industry and commerce, governance and accountants professionals, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. I am honored to stand before you today as I officiate at this esteemed event under the theme, A Governance and Accountants Transformative Agenda Towards a Shared Future for Zimbabwe, which aligns well with our collective vision and empowered and prosperous upper middle income society by 2030. Our future is indeed a shared journey, and it is crucial that we collaborate and work together, guided by the principles of good governance and sound accountants practices to realize this vision. As a government, our vision reflects our commitment to building this nation based on our values and aspirations as championed by the President, His Excellency, Comrade Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. His mantra has always been that a country is developed and governed by its own people. Nyika inovakwa nekutongwa nevene vayo. Ilizwe lakiwa libuswe ngavanikazi valo. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the foundation of a prosperous and just society lies in strong governance and ethical accountants. These are the cornerstones of our nation's progress. Good governance fosters investor confidence, ensures business continuity and sustainability, and safeguards the public interest. It is not merely a compliance exercise, but a strategic imperative that underpins economic growth and development. Your role as chartered governance and accountants professionals is crucial in shaping the business landscape and ensuring ethical conduct across all sectors. As we advance the transformative agenda outlined by this conference's theme, it is essential to embrace governance practices that foster a more prosperous and equitable Zimbabwe. This requires upholding high ethical and moral standards, which are integral to this noble vocation. Understanding these principles theoretically is not enough. They must be embedded in both your professional and personal lives. I remember during our war, we used to, when we were teaching on self-criticism, we would say it must be that art which must evolve in your mind and in your heart. It must evolve every second, every minute. And it must propel you to discard what is wrong and take what is right. And so this is what we are talking about, your profession. That these principles must be embedded in both your professional and personal lives. As you wake up, as you go about your work, you must always be guided by these principles. It is evident to us all that effective governance goes beyond mere regulatory compliance. It embodies the principles of proficient management, ensuring transparency, accountability, and ethical conduct, which are essential to our progress. We must recognize and celebrate the significant strides we have made in governance and accountance within our nation. Each accomplishment reflects the unwavering dedication and hard work of both the government and its people. Our ability to build a brighter future for Zimbabwe has been significantly supported by collaborative efforts and the exchange of innovative ideas. Ladies and gentlemen, as leaders, our responsibility is to create an environment where adherence to effective corporate governance principles is not just encouraged but expected. The optimal potential of our private sector hinges on establishing a clear, responsible, and ethically guided business environment. It is important to recognize that corruption represents a serious threat to our nation's progress, distorting markets, undermining the rule of law, and eroding public confidence. As professionals in key positions across both private and public institutions, it is imperative that you uphold ethical standards and categorically denounce all forms of corruption within your organizations. Let me reiterate that let us all be ethical. 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 Zimbabwe is making considerable effort in the fight against corruption. The government has implemented various legislative measures, such as adopting the United Nations Convention Against Corruption into domestic law. The domestication of this treaty has reinforced our existing laws, such as the Money Laundering and Proceeds of Crime Act, the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Act, and the Public Entities Corporate Governance Act. This is aimed at creating a strong framework that promotes transparency and accountability. The government of Zimbabwe is committed to collaborating with the private sector to create a corruption-free ecosystem through vigorous enforcement of anti-corruption laws, fostering strong partnerships, enhancing public awareness, and providing robust protection for whistleblowers. By upholding the principles of good governance and actively participating in anti-corruption initiatives, the private sector can demonstrate its commitment to ethical business practices and contribute to a brighter future for our nation. Distinguished guests, in today's rapidly evolving world, technology is not just an enabler, but also a catalyst for the change we seek. To realize Vision 2030, Zimbabwe must be fully integrate advanced technologies into its governance and accountance frameworks. Artificial intelligence and automation can be instrumental in transforming our various sectors by improving efficiency, accuracy, and fraud detection. The adoption of e-governance platforms would assist in streamlining public services, ensuring they reach all Zimbabweans effectively and equitably. However, technology alone is not enough, because technology was made by a human being, is it? So on its own, it's not enough. Our nation requires a robust regulatory environment that promotes innovation while safeguarding public interest. As government, we shall continuously develop measures to advance innovation in corporate governance by religiously reviewing existing corporate governance frameworks, seeking to provide general principles and guidance that apply to various categories of entities, both listed and unlisted, along with SMEs, non-profit organizations, and state-owned enterprises. Our current frameworks must evolve to support a rapidly changing economic landscape, characterized by new technologies, global market integration, and a commitment to honesty and transparency. Reforming our regulations to encourage compliance and adaptability will help ensure competition on the global stage and protection of the integrity of our institutions. A key requirement for the sustainable development envisaged by our developmental agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, going forward, let us work together towards a Zimbabwe where economic growth is not only rapid, but also equitable and sustainable. Government has made significant strides in laying the foundation for our nation's development. including introducing own currency to stabilize our economy and advancing infrastructure projects to enhance public services. Additionally, we have launched agricultural programs aimed at boosting food security, which is crucial given our challenges with droughts and floods. As we look to the future, we must be realistic about the challenges ahead. These include resistance to change, resource limitations, and technological hurdles. However, these challenges should not discourage us, but rather serve as opportunities for growth, research, and innovation. Let us ensure that Zimbabwe's path to posterity is paved with innovation, integrity, and inclusivity. As I conclude, I challenge you, the governance and accountants professionals, to spearhead our nation's economic transformation. Utilize your expertise to foster transparency, accountability, and the adoption of technology while upholding ethical practices across all sectors. Contribute actively to policy development, to create robust regulatory frameworks that support sustainable economic growth. Most importantly, cultivate a culture of integrity and ethical behavior in both public institutions and the private sector. The future we envision starts with the decisions we make today. Let us take bold steps towards implementing a transformative agenda in governance and accountants. Together, we can build a Zimbabwe that is prosperous, fair, and prepared to meet the challenges and seize the opportunities of the 21st century. Let us walk the talk. Siyabonga. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have been challenged. I will, at this point in time,
Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. Constantine G.D. N. Chiwenga, Honorable Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Mr. Ziambi in absentia, Honorable Minister of State, Matebeleland North Province, Richard Moyo, Permanent Secretary, Corporate Governance, Unit in the Office of the President and Cabinet, Mr. Allen Choruma, Commissioner General of Zimbabwe Revenue Authority, Ms. Regina Chinamasa, other government officials here present, Director General of CGI Global, Mrs. Jill Parrott, Director General of CGI Global, Mr. Tim Shini, Policy Advisor of CGI Global, Ambassador Gertrude Takawira, Vice Presidents of CGI, Ms. Lifnet Moyo and Mr. Tendai Kanjanda, Chief Executive and Secretary of CGI Zimbabwe, Dr. Lavmo Gomera, distinguished past presidents of CGI Zimbabwe, esteemed councillors, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to thank our Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe for the inspiring address to us as members of the Chartered Governance and Accountancy Institute of Zimbabwe. We are particularly honored by your presence again this year, having been part of our 50th anniversary celebrations in 2021, together with His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa. Your presence as guest of honor at this year's conference signifies the deep and enduring commitment that the government places on governance, transparency, and fiscal accountability as pillars of national development. We are indeed humbled by your continued support and look forward to your guidance on how our profession can further contribute to the realization of the country's development aspirations. And we take on board the requirement to be ethical, both in private and in public. This year's conference, aptly themed A Governance and Accountancy Agenda Towards a Shared Future, captures the essence of the work we are here to do. Governance and accountancy at their core are not just about managing resources or keeping records. They are about stewardship of the public, trust, of economic stability, and of the long-term prosperity of our nation. We have a shared responsibility to ensure that our actions today pave the way for the future that is inclusive, transparent, and sustainable. One of the key highlights of our conference will be the discussions around the economic transformative agenda, focusing on how governance and accountancy professionals can contribute to the nation's journey towards Vision 2030. In my year in office, I will endeavor to promote the SME agenda that helps SMEs to have better management practices, structured effective oversight, and control mechanisms which will lead to opportunities for growth, financing, and full contribution to economic growth. One of the pillars of this conference is the commitment to promoting diversity and inclusion with governance and accountancy fraternity. I am particularly excited about the session on accelerating equity, diversity, and inclusion for governance and accounting professionals, led by the Women in Governance and Accountancy WIGA initiative. The session not only highlights the increasing role of women, which they are playing in shaping governance, but also calls on all of us to do more to foster inclusive environments in our workplaces. I would also like to take this opportunity to express my deepest gratitude to you, Honorable Vice President, and ministers for gracing our occasion. By working together, we can truly pave the way for a governance and accountancy agenda which will support our nation's progress, uplift our communities, and contribute to the successful realization of Vision 2030. We sincerely hope members have key takeaways from your speech, Honorable Vice President, that will inspire, challenge, and equip them as we drive the changes that our nation needs. On behalf of the Institute, we wish you good health and more progress as we journey towards a shared future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Why don't we put our hands together again for our President? Thank you, ma'am. Hello? After the address by the guest of honor. At this point in time, as the chairperson is preparing for a token for Vice President, I would like to acknowledge the following. If the members that are here, all the speakers that we have, I see the Auditor General, Mrs. Kujinga, is here. Mr. Busisa is here. Anesu Daka, Commissioner Daka is here. Cynthia Tapera is here. Can we all be outstanding our speakers so that we can acknowledge you and appreciate you, please, in all those that are here already. Let's clap hands for the speakers, ladies and gentlemen. These are our speakers that have come. Honorable Vice President, this is the team. See my brother, Chinyemba there, the Chief Investment Officer from Mutapa, next to Zida, next to Zimra. We have got a transformative panel, Honorable Vice President, that's coming after this. That will be very, very interesting. I think the gentlemen and ladies are ready, and we really acknowledge and appreciate your time that you have taken to be with us this morning. Thank you very much. You may be seated. I'm also advised that the GM from NASA, Mr. Shaba, are you here? Please be abstaining so you can acknowledge. Thank you very much. We work in close cooperation with NASA, and they're one of our sponsors as well that have supported the Institute as we progress with our agenda. At this point in time, I would like to ask the chairperson and the team to appreciate our Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe to receive a gift or a token of appreciation.
It is our policy that members of the CGI are involved in all the activities that take place during the conference. At this stage, I will ask upon Mrs. Patience Fusire to come forward with the present for our Honorable Vice President of Zimbabwe. Gono to come forward. invited guests and all VIPs to be served tea from the Gwai room. Our ushers will be waiting to take you to the Gwai room. Mrs. Patience Fusire and Secretariat, please help in directing for tea. But before we go out for tea, we have a small announcement. The rest of us will be served tea from Kalundu room downstairs, and we have to be back here at 11:15. We have the small announcement from CEO.
Remain seated. Remain standing. Ladies and gentlemen, our Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe has got time constraints. He needs to go, so we will allow him and his team, together with those that were in the brief room, for a photo shoot outside, and then we'll allow our Vice President to attend to other assignments that he's got. In the meantime, let's all be upstanding. Let's remain seated after the exit. You will be advised of while we progress. But at this point in time, would like to also acknowledge our anchors, ladies and gentlemen, Andy Hodges and Noma, to take over from here. Let's clap hands for them.